Hi, my name is Brian Benson with James Bean Estate Sales in Oklahoma City. And one thing about doing when you've been in business for over 20 years and you've done well over 1,000 sales, what happens is not every sale comes out doing great, and sometimes really bizarre things happen. And I want to kind of talk to you about, some of the weirder things that happen or weirder things that we see at some of our sales. One of the things that happened, and this is about 20 years ago, we did an estate sale for a mother and a son. And the son had moved in with the mother because he was trying to get her ready to move to assisted living. And he was probably in his 70s, maybe 80s, and she looked like she was probably every bit of 120, although I know obviously she wasn't. So anyway, we're doing their estate sale, and they both love to drink. And while they're living in the house, it's difficult for us to set everything up because they're constantly in the way. But on top of that, they were both drinking and hiding, vodka from each other. So every time we would move a piece of furniture, we'd find these vodka bottles, we'd pull it out and give it to one of them. Then they'd get in a fight over who hid the vodka from who. And it was really kind of dramatic and, kind of uncomfortably drunk because they're constantly yelling at each other. But that's really not the weirdest thing that happened at the sale. While we were setting up the sale, they were going to keep everything in the master bedroom. So we were moving stuff out of the master bedroom so that they could, get the stuff they were going to sell out of it, and then moving stuff into the master bedroom stuff that they were keeping. And the lady, we're working late at night because they kept running us behind, kept getting us in the way, and it was throwing our schedule behind. So we're working at night, and she went to go to bed. Well, she went to the guest room to fall asleep, and while she was there, she passes out on the bed with her nightie up, not wearing any underwear. And while we're carrying furniture across the hallway, we get flashed by this 120-year-old woman, and we're just like shocked. But anyway, we close the door so we don't have to see that again. But anyway, that's also really not the weirdest thing that happened at the sale. On Sunday, we would go to do the sale, and we pull up, and we usually get to a sale about an hour ahead of time, so we can get the lights on and call all the bids and get the register set up and get ready for the day. And we show up about an hour before, and there's people coming and going out of the house carrying stuff, and we think that obviously the guy must have opened the cell without us, and this has happened before where people they won't wait for us to get there, they'll just open up the cell and start selling stuff. So James, we go into the house, and James is mad because he thinks this guy is trying to cut us out of our commission. And we walk into the house, and there's not a single family member in this house. The house is just customers are just everywhere, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And I sit down and I'm trying to take money from everybody, and by this time, people have, been carrying stuff out of the house without paying for it, and this is a big, bizarre thing, and we're trying to figure out what's going on, and James is trying to find the homeowner, can't find the homeowner, we don't know what's going on, and about 3 o'clock, the homeowner pops out of a closet and literally wearing nothing but a wife beater and boxer shorts, and apparently what had happened was somebody had rang the doorbell at around 11, about an hour before we got there. He opened up the door, let whoever it was in, just opens up the door, goes back to bed. But when he went back to bed, he went to the closet next to his bedroom because he was drunk and passed out in some linens in the closet, which is why when we couldn't find him when we're looking through the bedroom, we couldn't even figure out where the guy was because we didn't think to check the coat closet. So anyway, it's this big fiasco because, we have no idea what's even been taken out of the house, what got paid for. A lot of our regular customers who had been there earlier, at least they made piles and waited for us to get there so we could ring them up. But it was this bizarre situation. And that's also not the weirdest thing to happen at this sale. What is even weirder was on that Sunday when we were doing half off, a lady came through the line and she grabbed a trash can for $1, and I rang her up and she paid her 50 cents. And on the way out the door, she grabbed a marble head off the table, and this marble head was priced at $1,000. It would have been $500 because everything was half price. She puts it in the trash can, carries it out the door, and I see it, and James sees it, and James takes off after her because she stole this head. He catches her at her pickup truck, makes her give her the head back, and she panics, gets in her truck, and drives off. Well, when she did, she left her boyfriend at the house, and we didn't know that she left her boyfriend. And we get inside the house, or he comes back in, and there's this guy standing around, and he hadn't bathed in probably at least 5 years. I mean, really stunk really bad, didn't speak any English. And after about an hour of trying to communicate with him, and he was Middle Eastern, and being in Oklahoma, we don't have a lot of Middle Eastern customers, so we didn't have any way of communicating with him. for about an hour, and finally the lady comes in. She can communicate with him, and we basically find out that he was with this other lady who took off, and we have no way of getting a hold of her. This was 20 years ago, before everybody had cell phones. She didn't have a cell phone, he didn't have a cell phone. No one knows how to get in touch with her, and he's just left there abandoned. So we at least get the point that he needs to go outside and wait, because the house really reeked really bad of his BO. And the cell comes, and we get to 5 o'clock and we close, and he's still there, and we pack up all of our equipment in our truck, and he's still there. And just as we're about to leave, about 6:30, she pulls up. And really bizarre, she pulls up, and she has had this big note and card that she had written that says, "I'm sorry, I know what I did was wrong," and this big 14-page letter talking, apologizing about everything that she did. And we're just like, oh, okay, well, just take your boyfriend and go. And she then says, and she's looking in, we have this garage door open because we're about to leave, and she says, well, how much do you want for that freezer in there? And there was this broken down freezer that didn't work. And Jenny says, well, I don't know, what will you give us for it? She goes, well, I'll give you $20 for this freezer. So he goes, okay. So they back their truck up and load the freezer up and take it. Well, then while she's in there, she goes, well, how much do you want for this thing? And all this stuff at this house by now is just junk. I mean, it's all stuff that even the charity probably wouldn't have taken. So she keeps asking about stuff, and James keeps selling her stuff, and they keep throwing it in the back of the truck and fill up the freezer and fill up the back of the truck. And by the time it's all said and done, she has ended up, we call it guilt spending, because she feels guilty because we caught her stealing something. So now she's trying to prove that she's not poor or broke. She ends up spending $800 on literally stuff that was going to get hauled to the dump, trying to prove to us that she wasn't poor or broke. And that's probably the weirdest thing that actually happened at that sale. But like I said, there was quite a few, and it was quite a bizarre sale to have to do. So if you'd like to hear more crazy stories about things that have happened at our estate sales, or back when we used to own an antique store and an antique mall, feel free to subscribe to our channel or sign up for our email list on our website at jamesbeanestatesales.com. And every week you'll get an email notifying you of our new videos and also all of our upcoming sales. Thanks.